wake up, hit 100 push-ups, then I'm at my route. Check on my stocks, see how they looking, then I'm sliding out. When you start seeing your progression, you stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out? True to this game, and I'm a lifer, ayy. Feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy.
What's on with it, wealthy people? Welcome back to another amazing installment of your favorite show, the Blackwell Renaissance Podcast. It's your boy, your man's David Bellard. I'm here with my brother from another, Jalen. What's on with you?
What's up with it, my brother? It's your boy, Jalen, man. I cannot complain, dog. I'm doing great, feeling amazing. Like you said, feeling blacktastic. Happy to be back recording. Man, I just love being able to create the pod, dog. It feels so good to be back in this thing consistently. I know it's not where we want to be. We much rather be live. We much rather be in the same room, but it just feels good just to be doing this every week, dog. So I'm feeling amazing.
Facts. Hey, I'm right there with you, bro. It's like, you know, at one point, a lot of times on these journeys, our entrepreneurial journeys, we can get in our own way at the top.
I'm sorry. I was trying to pause the upload.
This
But
nigga
you
here.
You're talking
Hey,
about
we
making
testing out a new
excuses.
streaming service. We trying to get better quality for y'all. But like again, to the point that I was making though, right? A lot of times on this entrepreneurial journey, we start making excuses and start saying, "Oh, if it's not perfect, if it's not to this standard, we won't do it." But a lot of times, what we really just need to do is take action. Imperfect action is better than being a perfectionist. Shout out to Andre Hatchett. Brother Dre taught us that a long time ago. And sometimes you just got to internalize lessons the hard way, man. So we apologize for our absence, but again, we back, we better. I am enthralled about our opportunity to continue to curate conversations for the culture that moves us forward, especially in the aspects of wealth building. And yeah, we definitely love to hear from y'all. So before we get into it, as always, y'all know we ask y'all to leave us that 5-star rating and review.
Yes, sir.
Let us
We
give us
need
that feedback. It helps us grow the show. It helps us know what you guys want to hear and the type of content. Make sure that we delivering the type of content that is meeting your needs, right? So, yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm enthralled.
Yeah, with that being said, man, let's get into it, dog.
All right,
We
bro.
got
What's
another
our
great
first topic for
episode.
the day, Killer?
First topic, dog. First topic, honestly, ChatGPT, man. More AI. We know we said we wasn't going to,
Stop
bombard
the
y'all
cap.
with
AI, we gonna be
but
talking about it because it's important.
it's important in the way that it's just rapidly advancing, man. We got to talk about it because the way that you can leverage AI to actually build your business and build wealth, we got to talk about it. So first topic that we're going to speak about is ChatGPT releases a new image model. And it's pretty motherfucking good, dog. I'm not cursing right now. I'm still trying not to curse.
It is phenomenal. It is leagues above what I expected AI to be
Of
able
where
to do at
Dolly
this point.
was.
Yeah. So let's get into it, right? So as Jalen just mentioned, OpenAI, they announced an update to its ChatGPT 4.0 model. The generative AI model that it's been used a lot since last year. I think it came out like last May. And it improved the ChatGPT model by allowing it to start analyzing pictures and videos and taking text from videos and pictures to pull insights from it. So it made AI a bit smarter, right? Before we had to put prompts in manually, now it can pull information from images and videos. So as of March 25th of 2025, they introduced an update to that 4.0 model where it has launched the most advanced image generator that we've seen to date. And let me tell you, man, this is creating beautiful, useful imagery. And it is about to shake up the whole social media landscape, in my opinion. So
I'm not going to even say it's about to. It's honestly already starting to.
Yeah.
You got some people who's actually been using it already. And from what I'm seeing, it's crazy. Shout out to my girl, Nikki Saunders.
Nikki Saunders,
Yeah, she's already using it. She's created a few different things. One of the very first things that I saw her use it for, she was like the legends of the rap game. And she used it to create pictures of them, but based on Legos. And whenever I first saw it, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, this is really cool. And then I saw the tag under it. I think the tag might have said like ChatGPT or AI or something like that. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. And I was just on her page, so thank God that's right there. Give me 1 second if it ever loads. But yeah, so she did that, and then she also used it to create a Nipsey Hussle Lego story. Then she also used it to create a Kanye West, like the phases of Kanye West, the old Kanye is what she called it. And I was like, man, this is fire. And then I really started looking into it, and that's whenever I told you about it. I was like, bro, they on to something. This is fire.
Yeah, and once you told me about it, you sent me down the rabbit hole. So like one of the key things that makes this different than the prior models is that this one excels at rendering text. So if you've ever used DALL-E, the prior version of this, the one that Jalen referenced earlier, it would do a great job at creating scenery. It could kind of create some photorealistic images of people, give or take. Might add a finger or two, or the mouth might be wonky. This one is way more precise. Uh, on the prior models, if you asked it to make something with text, it might have one line of the text that's right, then everything else is like some fake language,
Man,
or it's flipping letters and
that
doing
crap
all
was
kind of
terrible at the
janky
text,
stuff,
dog.
right? Yeah, it was really bad. But like with the new model, with the image generator N4O, uh, it follows prompts so much better, right? And to Jalen's point, what he was talking about with the thing that Nikki did, it has now character consistency, which is something that it also struggled with in the past. So I've used AI to assist in creating characters for graphics, and that's something that it struggled with, right? You can create an animated cartoon graphic with a proper prompt. You could even take a photo of yourself and make an animated version of yourself using ChatGPT. But what the issue would arise is if you wanted to take that same character and make them do different things and make them maybe position themselves different or gesture differently, you would end up with a different character after a couple prompts. Now there's character consistency, and the model is learning how to build upon the conversation that you're having and what you're trying to create. So it is becoming incredibly useful for content creators, and it's putting graphic designers in the hot seat, dog. Like,
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you. So I think it's twofold. Like you said, it's definitely putting graphic designers in the hot seat. Because now you're gonna have to be really good. You're gonna have to have fast turnaround rates. But
amazing turnaround.
I also think about, as a graphic designer, how can you leverage it, right? Once again, because AI is great, but there's still humanistic things that AI misses, right? There's
Hmm.
certain styles and everything where I'll get into styles later, but there's certain styles that certain graphic designers have. There's certain things that a graphic designer will add or layering or anything like that that, a graphic designer will excel in. What I think is you can use it to start as your base and then use it to build upon to kind of cut down that you know that turnaround time and to kind of help you with your creations. But whenever I talked about styles, you talked about uploading a picture of yourself. Something that's been going on is actually the style of anime that a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
people been
the
using.
Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, yes, Studio Ghibli. So since this released, a lot of people started using the Studio Ghibli style anime to make themselves animated or to tell stories, and they're actually kind of pissed off right now because it's like, damn, we've spent all these years developing this style, doing these things for this style, which I think it might be copyrighted. So that's something that I also feel like could start to blur the lines, or like how does that part affect other businesses whenever you are using AI to generate other stylistic things that are unique to one particular brand.
It definitely raises the question about like free use and copyright. Because I mean, you're not directly using the content they created, but you're using their style, right? Their brand's trademark. So I definitely can see how that presents a challenge. But going back to that point with the graphic designers,
Yeah.
I don't think that it is the death of graphic designers, honestly. While I said this, it puts them in the hot seat. I think graphic designers have an advantage because they understand the language of design.
So now
You
they can
can
actually put better prompts in.
exactly, right? So as somebody who is unfamiliar with designing things, yeah, simple prompts can give you good results with this model, right? It focuses on using natural language and taking what your idea is and creating it. But those people who are able to intricately detail things are still going to be at an advantage.
Like,
If
hey,
you're a person,
chat, I want you to give me a gradient background and I want you to feather the third layer and doing all of this crazy stuff.
you know
Like,
what I'm saying? Like, yes, like stuff like that. If you can, in a text prompt, intricately detail what's going on, you definitely have an advantage as a designer, and it can still help you. Like, you can cut down on that turnaround time. You can cut down on uh the need to make content, right? So for us personally, and I want y'all, full disclaimer, y'all gonna see some AI infographics on the BWR page, baby.
oh yeah, it's
Just
coming.
calling it like I see it. Um, Infographics have been something that has been a staple with what we do, right? Again, we like to curate conversations for the community and provide information on wealth building. Well, one of those things that we've always historically done as Blackwell Renaissance has been breaking information
Infographics.
down visually with infographics. So yeah, we're gonna give y'all some AI infographics, and let me tell you something. They're gonna look good and they're gonna be made in about 3 to 5 minutes versus me taking 30 to 40 minutes to make them. So thank you, OpenAI.
Appreciate y'all. Another
Appreciate
thing that I
that.
do want to say on the graphic designer tip is now how we're talking about how we're going to be using it. Also, the small business who doesn't have to spend a bunch of money for a graphic designer. They will have to get good at prompting these things. They will have to get good at communicating with AI on what they want, which I think a lot of people struggle with whenever they're
Facts.
talking about graphic designs in general, because I've spoken to a lot of graphic designers. One of my line brothers is a graphic designer, and he always talks
Shout out
about,
to Big Will, man.
yeah,
I gotta
shout
give
out
my
to
boy a
Will,
shout out.
man.
He done
He
made some
created
fire
our logo.
infographics. Yeah, and the logo. He done made some
Yeah.
fire stuff for us. Shout out to Will.
So like that's something that I've
And bro
always
was in Queen and Slim.
yeah, bro was in Queen and Slim. But that's something that he's talked to me about before, right? Like, people don't really know how to convey what they want to get done in an infographic or whatever type of graphic. A lot of people would just say, hey, I want it to look good. I want it to come out fire, or I want it to pop. Like they're using
Make
those.
something dope.
Yeah,
No, my favorite. I think he said his favorite one is, I don't know, man. Just make it look good.
yeah, man. You got free range. You got free control, free creative control, and so I think that that's going to be a
hurdle?
bottleneck,
Yeah.
or a hurdle that a lot of people who will begin to use this will have to get over, is learning how to describe what they would like. But once you learn and once you figure it out, I do think it will help a lot of small business owners with creating graphics that they need for their business, with creating different marketing material, with creating different things that can help them propel themselves. And it's relatively cheap because you're paying $20, you get access to the image generator, but you're also getting access just to ChatGPT in general, which once again it can really help you out if you use it the correct way for your business, right? One of the biggest things that me and you speak about is using it to really organize your thoughts, right? You're not using it to just give you ideas, but whenever you speak to it, you tell it, hey, these are some of the things that I would like to do. I kind of need help fleshing this out. Or you give it what you're already working on, and then you ask it for ways to improve, ways to one of the things that I use ChatGPT for is for show notes, bro. Like, I'll write the show notes out, I'll type it out, I'll do everything that I want to do, but then I'll throw it in the ChatGPT and I'll say, hey, optimize this for SEO for me. Give me different things that would make this more searchable. Give me things that would allow this to reach a broader audience. And I use it for that, and it helps out a lot.
See, and the thing I want people to hear when they hear this, right? AI isn't infallible. It's not like it's perfect, but if you use your
my
intellect,
boy, you breaking out the big words today. My
Hey.
boy said infallible. It was another word that you said earlier whenever we first started. I was like, okay. I see you using that big vocabulary today.
yeah, AI isn't infallible though. Like it's not. It can make mistakes. It's not perfect, but to Jalen's point, whenever you use your own intellect as the basis for it, it can definitely add rocket fuel and speed up decision-making processes. It can aggregate information and help you as a business owner perform more work and get more done in a shorter period of time. So when it comes to me, final verdict on this, I don't think that this is going to be a bad thing at all for anybody in the graphic design space. I don't think it's going to be bad for anybody in the business space, to the points that we've made already. You still have to be able to create effective prompts. If you can't create effective prompts, none of this matters. So prompting will be a skill that I see get birthed out of this. And people who learn how to do that effectively, they're going to be the ones who win. That's where I stand. And that's kind of where I see this going. What about you, Jalen?
I agree on the prompting. I do feel like, once again, people are going to be put out of a job, especially crappy graphic designers. Once again, I see the people, the good graphic
Law selection,
designers,
baby. Natural selection. Yeah.
The good
You was
graphic
trash anyway,
designers,
nigga.
Chill out, bro. The good graphic designers, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to still, the cream always rises to the top, right?
Facts.
Creme de la creme. But once again, I think the crappy ones are not even crappy, right? People who might just be getting their foot into the door.
Mediocre. Call them what it is.
I wouldn't even call them mediocre.
Novice. Okay, let me give a nicer word.
Yeah,
Novice.
bro. There's people who they probably will become great in the long run. But if you're just starting out, some people, they got it. Like, they're going to be good. But some people have to build that skill. You have to put in those 10,000 hours. So I feel like those people, the novice, the new graphic designers will probably be the people who suffer the most from this technological advancement in AI.
I tell you who gonna suffer the worst. Them Canva template warriors.
I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie.
they on your
Canva-
ass. Open AI on your ass. You was over here just taking Canva templates, taking advantage of people who didn't know nothing about graphic design and just plug and playing. Yeah, it's
Changing
over with.
colors and everything.
It's over with.
Yo,
I say that, but the people that you taking advantage of still ain't gonna know how to use AI. But
what they really gonna do?
We
is
on
they just
you. We on to you, buddy. We on to you.
All they
bucko.
gonna do it, bro, is they gonna switch from using Canva to using this and still get their ish off.
Possibly. Yes, indeed. Well, that about wraps it on that one. Moving into the next topic, man. This is a big one, right?
Building wealth is about more than just the money you make. It's about what you leave behind. At Blackwell Renaissance, we believe in creating lasting legacies for the ones we love. But have you thought about what will happen to your family when you're no longer here? Life insurance isn't just about protection. It's a way to ensure your hard work today keeps working for your family tomorrow. It's your opportunity to leave a legacy that will support their family. Take the next step today. Protect your family, secure their future, and build a legacy you can be proud of. Click the link below to get started today.
So the state of Mississippi announces its plans to eliminate state income tax in an effort to seek more talent and jobs. Right. So what's going on in Mississippi? Right? Number 50 out of 50. What's popping with Mississippi? What's going on with the SIP?
Oh no, I was just saying. Yeah, Mississippi. They're trying to follow suit, trying to take a page out of the likes of Texas, Florida, Arizona, Tennessee. Some of these states that have really booming economies. And I had my tab up.
No,
had
I
to
got you. I
close
got
it.
you. Look. So Mississippi has eliminated its state income tax, becoming one of a few states, like the ones Jalen just mentioned, to do so. This policy change is part of the Build Up Mississippi Act, which aims to phase out income taxes over the next decade to make Mississippi more competitive by attracting businesses, talent, and investments. So that's the plan, right? This is what Mississippi got going on. So how do they plan on getting this done, right? So the elimination of income tax will occur gradually with incremental reductions tied to the budget surpluses. Many people don't know this, but the state of Mississippi has actually operated at a budget surplus over the last few years. In 2023 specifically, they had a budget surplus of nearly $700 million, which is insane to think about because Mississippi, again, 50 out of 50, one of the poorest states. So how the hell
Yeah,
y'all got 700 million extra dollars just laying around, right?
because
But again,
so like yeah, they operating at a surplus, but once again, what are they're generating? But you also got to think about the makeup of Mississippi as a state, bro. It's mainly forest and farmland.
yeah,
Like
it's
you ever
agriculture heavy. Similar to
yeah.
Louisiana, it's agriculture heavy. Like that whole
Hmm.
little Bible Belt area, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. You already know we agriculture, and that's agriculture and a couple big businesses that I would almost just kind of want to say plant work. A lot of plant work in agriculture is kind of the two staples in
And when
those
you say
types of
plant work, you're talking
states. Um,
when you say plant work, you're talking about like refineries, oil plants,
mhm.
plants that produce different those type of plants, chemical plants and things like
Yeah,
that.
correct. Exactly.
Got you.
So yeah, Mississippi. I see
Another
what you
thing I
said.
want to say
The
about them.
makeup of Mississippi. Got you. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say another thing I want to say about them with that surplus is being the fact that they had $700 million worth of surplus and Jackson, Mississippi didn't have no clean water. Sorry, y'all, I'm about to cuss. They need their ass beat.
They
They
do.
need their ass beat for not being able to supply clean water to the city of Jackson, Mississippi, which is their state capital.
Yeah. I mean, Mississippi all kinds of toe up. Brett Favre stole millions of dollars from the poorest people in the state and walked away pretty much scot free. But
Speaking of them being all kinds of toe up, it was something else I learned about Mississippi while researching this, brother. Did you know that when the 13th Amendment passed, if you don't know, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, for all of y'all that don't know, it was ratified
do the
by three.
knowledge, nigga.
It was ratified by 3/4 states in 1865. Mississippi did not symbolically and officially adopt the 13th Amendment until 1995, bro.
Oh, I could believe that. That doesn't surprise
They
me
didn't
at all.
officially notify Washington, D.C. of the vote until 2013, bro.
Mississippi is definitely the most red state in the
Did
South,
you just
right?
hear what I said?
I heard exactly what you said.
2013 is when they notified Washington, D.C. that they made this decision in 1995.
Bro, if Mississippi had the ability to, they would secede from the Union and rock that Confederate flag. Probably doesn't the Mississippi state flag still have like the Confederate stuff on it? If I'm not
I ain't
mistaken,
gonna lie
I'm
to you,
pretty
brother.
sure the Mississippi state flag is the one. Like it's one state flag
No.
that looks pretty Confederate.
No, it's got the magnolia on it, and it's got 2 red bars and a navy bar in the middle.
Bro, that's the fucking Confederate shit.
Are you serious? No. Are you looking at the Mississippi state flag right now?
The middle part of the flag is the Confederate shit. What are you talking about? Like the part where the stars go on the American flag? That X with the white stars on it.
That's not the Mississippi flag, though.
What Mississippi flag you looking at, brother?
What Mississippi flag are you
it.
looking at?
They may have updated it. Okay, they might got a new updated version. I'm looking at the historical version. This is what the Mississippi flag was forever.
They rage baiting you, brother. You gotta go off of your you gotta go off of what we talked about last time, brother.
You know what the problem is? I'm using Bing.
I'm sharing it with you. So this is the one that you were talking about, right? The second one?
Yeah, that's the one.
So no, that's not the one.
We got to figure out when they updated it.
This is their current flag, brother. This is their current flag.
I hear you. But that other joint, if they ain't tell Washington till 2013 that they seceded, I bet this flag was made in the last decade.
Hold on, brother.
I just remember. I know when I was younger. When I was younger, the Mississippi flag was that Confederate flag, John, bro. I promise you it was.
Hold on, I'm about to tell you how recent this is. I think this shit might be in 2024.
I told you, bro. They're so racist. Mississippi is the most red racist state by far. And we from Louisiana. I went into Mississippi one time, got out the car, I said, bro, you could feel the racism in the air. This is bad. Like, this is ridiculous.
Brother, you can breathe it in.
The racial tension, you can feel that. You can you feel the stress and worry and anxiety of our ancestors in that state. Mississippi different, bro. Mississippi different. But we getting off track. I'm gonna let Jalen continue to look into that flag thing, but I'm gonna get back to this bill, right? So the Build Up Mississippi Act. So part of the bill, the way they intend on eliminating income tax is through two main methods, right? So they're going to reduce the grocery sales tax from 7% to 5% and increase taxes on gas to offset that revenue from income tax. So that's their plan. Mississippi's current income tax rate, state income tax rate, is 4%. As the plan is currently set, it is set to decrease the income tax rate by 0.25% annually. So by 2030, the income tax rate in the state income tax rate in Mississippi would be 3%. And further reductions will be contingent upon economic growth and that surplus. So if they continue to operate at a budget surplus, then Mississippi will continue to lower it. And the ultimate goal being by 2037 to completely phase out income taxes. So with that being said, right?
What you saying all of that, what I just figured out is, yes, this flag was adopted in 2020. Well,
I told you.
I told you. It got officially accepted in 2021, bro.
I told you. I knew it was the last decade.
That's crazy to me.
I know I wouldn't trip. They had that Confederate flag, bro. I knew I wasn't tripping. Mississippi, do better, SIP. For a state with such a high black population, I need y'all to do better. But
facts.
Back to this bill, right? The Build Up Mississippi Act, right? So the rationale behind this is to move and position Mississippi as a more attractive destination for businesses. So the goal is, right, they want to compete with those no income tax states that Jalen mentioned earlier, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, which they've seen significant economic growth from those types of policies. So proponents of this believe that, this will lead to job growth due to, revenue growth from businesses, investment, leading to increased property and sales tax revenue. Because if you got more people living here, you got more jobs, there's going to be more money coming into the SIP. And that has worked for Texas and mainly Arizona. Arizona is currently, we were talking about AI at the beginning of this episode. Arizona, for those that ain't paying attention, has become the AI hub of America. TSMC is building a factory out there. I want to say Intel has a factory out there to develop microchips. Electric cars are huge in Arizona. Phoenix is actually one of the most rapidly growing affordable cities in America because of this AI and electric boom, right? So Mississippi sees that and they look at states like Texas, where we're currently located, also a no income tax state. You see a bunch of businesses moving their headquarters out here. Mississippi's looking at that and thinking, hey, we bring the businesses in, and that, as that old saying goes, a rising tide lifts all boats. We bring these businesses in. They create jobs. They bring people in who are skilled laborers who contribute to the economy of this state. And honestly, if I'm being objective, I see the vision. I really do see the vision. But it's Mississippi, and
I ain't moving to Mississippi, my dog.
I ain't going to the SIP neither. I ain't going to SIP. It's funny. At work earlier today, a guy from Illinois was talking to one of the justices on my team, and he was like, "Oh, you down in Texas? See, I like Texas, but I don't like the politics." And I think that's going to be the thing with Mississippi, right? People might like the opportunity, but because of the politics, they might not want to actually commit to Mississippi because these motherfuckers just changed the Confederate flag off their flag in 2020. Like that says volumes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
brother.
that speaks
Y'all got
volumes about the political climate.
Y'all got a lot of hurdles to overcome, big dog. Hey, man. Back to the other episode. Right idea, hopefully right execution. But me currently, I wouldn't do it. More power to anybody who would. One of the things that I will say about Mississippi that they also kind of have going for them is affordability. They are ranked as one of the most affordable states as well for purchasing a home. But their median state income is currently $35,467. So like you talked about,
is that 50 out of 50?
Yeah. So,
Mississippi, 50 out of 50.
Chill out. So for them to get all of these to attract these businesses, especially high paying businesses, they're going to have some hurdles. But I like the idea of it. I like the idea of them not having state income tax. I support it. I like states that don't have state income tax because that's the only states I'm living in for the rest of my life. I could see myself living in Tennessee. I like Tennessee. Tennessee was nice, and they have no state income tax as well.
So, to that point, right? Let's talk about the criticisms on this, right? So the big criticisms on the idea of doing this is the same criticisms of trickle-down economics, because this is what this is a byproduct of, honestly. Rich folks saying, hey, yo, give me all the bread and it's going to make everybody's life better. So, honestly, we know that shit don't work that way. Yeah. But, that's what critics are saying. Critics are arguing that this will only benefit wealthy individuals and negatively impact essential public services like education, healthcare, and the infrastructure if they fail to bring the businesses in. So to Jalen's point, right, Mississippi is still Mississippi. Just because you say no income tax don't mean everybody gonna just flock there. It's a lot of challenges and hurdles about that environment that the socioeconomic portions of Mississippi, the people, right? Like you can't just change a people in an area just by bringing more opportunity there. Like if people are used to poverty and destitution, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to scale up and go get these types of jobs. It sounds like it's going to be more of a situation where you intend on just bringing people in and kind of
get more transplants,
making the poor poorer and making the people who are the skilled laborers that come in richer. Which presents a problem.
that approach that Tulsa did. Tulsa, they were giving out that grant if you move to Tulsa. I think they'll give you like a $10,000 grant. I think if they start throwing in those type of incentives to get people there, it could also help. Another thing that I kind of want to point out whenever you're talking about some of the uphill battles that they have to fight, Mississippi also ranks worse for children being uninsured. So they have one of the highest states with children being uninsured.
5.5.
5.5%.
50 out of 50.
They also have one of the highest rates for child mortality too. So out of every 100,000 kids that are born, 9.9 kids die. Which in a relative, like, it's high, but 9.9 out of 1,000 to me isn't terrible. But by the numbers, that's a bad number.
Brother. By comparison, how bad is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it 50 out of 50? Mississippi is one of the worst places in the country, but surprisingly, final verdict from me on this, I actually think this will work. Just because of how America is.
I'm going with my Simon Cowell. It's a no for me. They ain't gonna work, dog.
That was Randy Jackson, dog. It's a no for me, dog.
Randy, Simon.
You could tell you were watching American Idol with your mama and them growing up.
Actually, my girl and her mom was.
Man, my mama had that shit on faithfully, dog.
That's funny. So yeah, me personally, I don't think it's gonna work. I feel like there's a lot of hurdles that they have to overcome. You could possibly see it in the next 25 to 30 years or 40 years. Maybe you'll see this, but right now, nah, I do not see people flocking to Mississippi.
I vehemently disagree. I definitely see this happening over the next decade. And it kind of segues into our next topic. And the reason I see it happening is because of this next topic, right? So rolling into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
America has a problem.
When most people think of life insurance, they think of death benefits. But did you know life insurance can also help you build wealth while you're still alive? With cash value policies, like whole life or universal life insurance, you're not just leaving a legacy, you're building one. These policies grow over time with tax-deferred cash that you can access for things like retirement, emergencies, or even investments. Plus, living benefits can protect you during life's most unexpected moments, like critical illness or disability, giving you the financial flexibility you need when you need it most. It's not just insurance. It's a tool in your financial tool belt. Visit the link below to learn more and start building wealth today.
A big problem. And that problem's name is private equity.
Hot take for me, man. Private equity is going to kill America.
I don't even think that's a hot take no more at this point, bro. It's literally happening in front of us. Like, it's literally happening. Since the 70s, we've talked about this multiple times on the pod. Since the 70s or 80s, you've seen this divergence from the wealth that America is building and the cost of living and pay for people. So, like, America's getting wealthier. Pay is staying pretty much stagnant. Cost of living is going up. And it's this squeeze, right? So all this wealth is being generated. The country is getting wealthier. But where is this money going? Who's making the money? Where's the bread?
Private equity.
The bread
equity got
is
the money,
with
brother.
the private equity companies.
It's actually a clip that I want to play for this.
BlackRock, Blackstone, State Street, Apollo. I could keep going. KK&R. These are all companies that we've seen rise and build trillion-dollar asset values, and they're taking over. I'm gonna let my brother get to his clip before I get into it further, right? So what you got, Jalen? Show us that problem that we got with private equity.
They doing?
So like on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s podcast, the first time I was on there, I told him about a group called Champions Group. I talked about it on InfoWars today too. On Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s podcast, I told him they're acquiring large swaths of an entire industry. Champions Group is HVAC. And in the Southwest, they bought up like 85 HVAC small businesses. But they didn't just buy them. They didn't just buy it. They paid for the name, image, likeness of the former owners so that they could keep looking like they were a small business.
Yeah.
Then they installed unified software across all of the thousands of trucks. And so no matter who you call to come look at your frozen air conditioning or condensation line, they're each going to quote you a 3 times higher price than they ever did before.
Yep.
And they're going to say, oh, I mean, you don't have to trust me. Call these other guys. And everyone comes out and they're all charging more money. All of a sudden, then they say, wait for it.
Oh.
They say, don't worry, you can't afford this. I know it's 3 times as much as it used to be, COVID, inflation, greedflation, whatever. They're going to say, don't worry, we'll finance it for you.
All
They'll
that
hand you
bullshit.
like this. They'll say, just sign right here. They're not going to hand you a truth in lending statement like they're required to by law. They're going to hand you this iPad. You're going to squiggle it and you're 85 years old and it says $100 a month. And you're like, oh, I can't afford it, but I'll try. And then on your first missed payment, they're going to exercise what was in there that was a lien on your house, and they're going to take your house from you. It's so hard to understand how hard it is to even find out what a small business is anymore.
Guys.
Sheesh.
So,
Like I said,
I know for a
problem.
fact that that's happening in the HVAC space, because I have a homie who actually has an HVAC business. Shout out to my guy Zoe, man. He just won his first government contract, working at a university. So shout out to him. But he was telling me some stuff. He's telling
Big
me
ups
some
to Zoe, man. We gotta give people their applause, man.
He was telling me like this is competition that he was seeing as operating his small business, right? Like as he's going to service homes and residential, he was like, this is pressures that I'm getting. He was like, they even offered to buy his business, but he was like, that's just not the route that I wanted to go, because they were going to make him an owner operator, or I think is actually another term for it, but they're going to buy it out. He was going to be able to do all the day-to-day operations, but he was just like, I'm against private equity, so I couldn't go with it.
Man, and that goes to illustrate exactly the point why I believe that Mississippi stuff will work, right? Because with private equity, what we're seeing is a consolidation across industries. So, interesting statistic that I found, right? From 1996 to 2025, the amount of American publicly traded companies actually fell. In 96, there were over 8,000 publicly traded companies in America. In 2025, there are less than 4,000. At the same time, globally, the amount of publicly traded companies that you can invest in doubled from 25K to over 50K. So what we've seen is consolidation at its highest form over the last roughly 30 years, right? We've seen private equity firms gobble up industries and buy up a bunch of the small operators, like you're just saying, to basically squeeze them for profit. So we really want to get into private equity, right? So what is private equity and how do they make money? So essentially, what private equity firms do is they acquire companies with the goal of restructuring them, making them more efficient, and then selling them for a profit in the future, in the near future, might I add. Usually
The
5 to 7 years.
target is really like 3 to 4, but it's been stretched out to 5 to 7 as of late.
5 to 7 years. So let's just go roughly 3 to 7 years, right? That's their goal, to make money off these companies. So how this affects people is this leads to efficient companies on paper, but they're ran by overworked, underpaid people that are, and they really approach building a business with such a short-term mentality that it kills the long-term growth prospects of a business. So again, what is private equity, right? So let's kind of go zoom out a second. Private equity is an umbrella term, but it isn't just one thing, right? So there's VC. You've heard of venture capital. We've talked to people on the pod about it. Venture capital invests in startups with the goal of finding the next unicorn. They invest in a bunch of companies hoping that one works out and pays off in the future. Got it. Okay, VC. There's GC, growth. God dang it. I lost the C.
Growth capital?
Growth capital. Jeez, man, it took me too long to get there. So what the growth capital companies do, similar to what we just talked about, they buy small operators of profitable businesses, and then they take those businesses, bundle them up, and try to make them more profitable, eventually to sell them. And the last portion of private equity, the more concerning part of it, is the LBO. So what is the LBO, David? LBOs are leveraged buyouts. So leverage buyouts are really the big problem with American private equity. So why is it that leverage buyouts are the problem? We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll go back to LBO. So keep that in the back of your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with this, right, to what Jalen was talking about earlier with what's going on in the HVAC industry, this isn't only occurring in HVAC industry. So private equity firms are infiltrating healthcare, retail, and the service sector. So HVAC, plumbing, things that are essential services. Electrical shit, real estate, single family homes, build to rent communities. Like, they're everywhere, right? They're trying to take advantage of and control and own everything at this point. And they buy multiple companies in the same industry to consolidate market share, and they create the illusion of industry. And this strategy is known as rolling up companies. So they rolling them
So
boys up like a pack.
Basically, like what the young lady was saying on the video, like you might have 4 different TV repair shops, right? You got JJ's repair shop on one corner, you got Johnny Walker's repair shop, you got Tim Billy Bob's repair shop, and then you got Susie Ann's repair shop, right? What they're going to do is they're going to approach each one of these companies, and they're going to buy all of those companies, and they're going to keep the same name. They're going to keep it all the name, but now it becomes a part of one portfolio. That business is then restructured to where all of those businesses are still operating as though they're independently, but like she just said, they're taking the price and making the price the same across the market. So now you don't have true competition in the marketplace. You don't have true competitive advantage in the marketplace because now everyone's operating the same. Everyone's using the same software. So now it, like you said, it creates the illusion of choice where in actuality, they're all being run by the same person.
And I just want to put terms on these things, right, for the people that's listening. So market consolidation, that's the first term, right, where they go in, they buy up a bunch of the competitors. What Jalen was saying and what the lady mentioned in the clip, where they go and now everybody's using the same software, they're offering the same services. That's brand homogenization. So even though they're different brands, like it's still JJ's and Tim Billy Bob and Sue Ann, but they now, instead of having their own specialties and services, they all offer the same things. And the price for everything is just about the same. So even though it looks like you have choices, you really have no choice.
And like when we say the prices, so like you might get a $10, $20 sway, or, you know, it'll look like one person might have a better deal, but in actuality, it's all already being marked up.
Realistically, and like she said, greedflation. They've been pulling that inflation wool over our eyes for the longest time. I'll never forget. This is a quick segue when Chevron pulled that BS on us, man.
Man, speaking of that,
That was
y'all
summer,
gas started going up.
That wasn't that like summer of 23.
That was 2022.
Whenever 22, they was like, man, we got a fuel shortage, dog. We don't know where we getting the gas from. Mind you, America has a surplus of fuel. We've been having stores of oil forever. We don't use American oil. We import that shit. But they told us this lie that we can't even control the prices. It's the Saudis, man. Them Saudis doing us dirty, dog.
It was OPEC.
It's OPEC fault. Then, boom, quarterly stock results come out. $12 billion of profit. Well, wait a damn minute. Y'all was charging $4 and $6 and $7 a gallon. Y'all hit $12 billion in profit. All of a sudden, gas prices start going down after y'all have to release those quarterly earnings results. It's a scam. A lot of them are doing it, right? Because they control the price, they control the flow of information on this one thing.
The thing
they
that's
can
different,
upcharge.
The thing that's different with private equity, why I feel like it's worse is they don't have to report their earnings.
No. And that's definitely a big point that I want to get into. But before I get into that, right, I think the biggest issue that private equity has is really the way that they're paid, right? So the way private equity companies are paid is really the big issue here. So the general structure of private equity companies, any one of them from BlackRock all the way down to a small one that you've never heard of. An example of one is J.W. Childs. I'm gonna get into that too. So the payment structure for private equity companies, they collect a 2% management fee on the assets that the company owns, and with leveraged buyouts, there is a structure where there's a person called a general partner. The general partner is the person who's over the fund, and the limited partners are the people who invest in the fund. So there's a structure where they collect the 2% management fee, but the general partner earns a 20% dividend on the profits of that partnership of the private equity company. So how does that 20% dividend work? So if every private equity company, when they acquire something, they advise the investors that, hey, look, this is what we expect this company to grow. This is how much we expect this company to grow. And that's known as a hurdle. So say they bought a company for 100 mil and they say, hey, we think we can grow this company by 7%. Anything that they grow over 7%, the general partner earns a 20% dividend on that profit. So what it really does is create that short-term mentality that we're talking about, where their goal is, because remind you, they're trying to sell this in three to 7 years. They're trying to make as much money as possible in the shortest period of time because their salary is directly related to the amount of profit they can generate. And they don't pay the same type of taxes you would on that type of thing, right? So going back to that example, they made
Wait, what do you
$100
mean
million.
they
They
don't
bought
pay the
$100
same
million
type of
company.
taxes?
I'll explain it, right? So because it's capital gains, dividends from the profits are considered capital gains. So in that example, the $100 million company, they say they're going to grow it at 7%. They grow it at 7.5%. So that 0.5% is what he makes profit off of. On a $100 million company, that 0.5% that he's taking 20% of, that's $400K. And instead of paying income tax on $400K, which would be 47%, you get a 20% capital gains tax rate on it.
Is that
So it
short-term capital
incentivizes.
gains? Short-term capital gains?
The 20%. Well, it's good. I don't think it's considered short-term capital gains. That's the long-term capital gain tax. I want to say is 20%. Short-term, I want to say is higher. Y'all double check. Always make sure you do your due diligence. But yeah, right. So you made $400K, paid 20% on taxes on it, which is actually less than somebody who makes $50K a year. You know, so like it's incentivized for these people in these positions to try to squeeze as much value out of these companies as possible. So how do they squeeze this value out, right? This is where the real problem comes in with private equity. And the way they do that is through cost cutting and really minimizing expenses. That's really the big thing that they do. So a study from the Harvard Business School and the University of Chicago found that on average, employment at companies that are taken over by private equity companies, they reduce staff by 4.4% over the 2 years after acquisition. And another study that was interesting when it comes to just how this whole thing goes, right? Whenever private equity companies take over in the healthcare space, particularly, data from Medicare, analyzing Medicare data from 05 to 2017, nursing homes that are owned by private equity companies actually have a 10% higher mortality rate because of the way that the cost cutting measures that they take, right? So they're cutting staff. They're asking people to work more hours while paying them the minimum rate. And it just creates, again, that underpaid, overworked environment where everything is about shareholder equity and a dividend for a general partner instead of actually operating and running the business in a way that'll make it sustainable for the long term.
That's crazy. And then, so something else that I think about when I would think about the private equity, we talk about that being unsustainable for the workers, but also think about the private equity firms that are building these houses to rent. That's another reason why I said it's going to be the death of America. You're building houses now. You don't even give people the opportunity to actually purchase a house, but then two, you're building crappy houses, bro. Like their whole thing,
Speak
once
on it.
again, is to build these houses as fast as they can, as cheap as they can. Like if you are in an area where there's new development coming up, I want y'all to just ride by while it's being put up, and I want y'all to see what's on the outside of these houses. Like it's literally boards that are flappy. Like you could literally punch through the board, bro. Like
I
I see
believe
them
it.
flapping in the wind sometimes while I'm
Bro,
riding, and I'm just like,
bro, I remember seeing last year whenever they had that crazy windstorm in Dallas. There were those new build constructions by those companies,
blown
Lennar and
down.
all them, getting blown over. If you're building a solid house, a solid foundation, it's no reason that would get blown over. But like you said, they're using crappy materials to try to make these microwave cookie cutter ass houses.
Yep. Like one of the biggest people for it is Dior Horton, bro. Like I'm currently living in a Dior Horton house, and the things that I'm seeing, our house isn't that bad, but there's like houses in the neighborhood that they put in the Facebook group. Their sinks are falling in. They're seeing water spots
Huh?
at the top, bro. Yes, kitchen sinks falling in. They're seeing water spots at the top from condensation because their HVAC units were put up incorrectly, installed incorrectly. You're also having issues with like plumbing issues. You're having issues with like settling. So your drywall, which I have seen, like there's some parts where like the
It'll start cracking.
nails backing out, it's cracking. Even like the finishing on the drywall. Like I was looking at the in our bathroom in the master bedroom. I was like, bro, they ain't even really saying this real good, bro. Like this is really some crappy craftsmanship. It's not even craftsmanship. It's like crappy work. But they're building these houses. They're only allowing people to rent these houses. So now you're taking people away from one of the biggest generators and actually building wealth, which
Facts.
is purchasing a home.
The biggest generator of
Yeah.
building wealth. We just
The
talked about that last
yeah,
episode.
the biggest generator of building wealth, right? So now you can't even buy a home. You can live and you can rent it. But then once again, you're also controlling the market of the raising the rents, right? Now you own 1,000 homes in the area. Now as rents go up, there's no competition once again within that to where you can be like, hey, let me go over here and go get another house. You're actually siloing that sector of the economy into staying into your crappy built homes that aren't going to last long. So that's the part where I really just feel like they're going to kill the American dream and kill America is whenever they're getting into controlling not just how much you're working, reducing jobs, but then you're also controlling the living space. You're controlling all of these other things that go hand in hand. Now you're also controlling the services that I go to for the crappy house that I live in that you built. And you also own the HVAC, the plumbing, you own the electrical company, you own all of these things giving me crappy work.
And you trying to tell me I will own nothing and be happy? Hell nah. But I'm glad you brought up the housing thing because I want to go back to leverage buyouts, right? So
Building wealth is about more than just the money you make. It's about what you leave behind. At Blackwell Renaissance, we believe in creating lasting legacies for the ones we love. But have you thought about what will happen to your family when you're no longer here? Life insurance isn't just about protection. It's a way to ensure your hard work today keeps working for your family tomorrow. It's your opportunity to leave a legacy that will support their family. Take the next step today. Protect your family, secure their future, and build a legacy you can be proud of. Click the link below to get started today.
leverage buyouts, I kind of alluded to them earlier, but I want to keep going with this house example. So with leverage buyouts, it's essentially like a mortgage for a business, but it's one interesting twist to it. So you as a consumer, you go to get a mortgage on a house. That's just for shits and giggles. It's $1 million house. You come with 10% down. You got $100K. You borrow the remaining 9. But you're an investor. You don't want to live here. So you live here for a year. You move out, and then you rent the property out, and then you use the revenue from the rent to pay the mortgage, right? Well, private equity firms do the same thing, but there's one key difference. Instead of you, the owner, keeping the mortgage that you went for that you got for the debt you went secure, the person who's living there is the one responsible. So the business is responsible whenever it comes to private equity. So in a leveraged buyout, these companies, these funds, they come with a portion of their own money, and then they borrow the remainder.
So
And-
pause before you get too deep. So once again, I purchased the house for $1 million. Am I the company or am I the individual?
You're the individual and the company. The individual is the company in this example. You're the
Okay.
investor. You as an investor and the company are one and the same.
Okay,
You
so
secured
I
the
purchased
debt.
it for $1 million.
You secured the debt.
Okay.
Yes. You put some of your money up, you secured the debt. But where it differs versus the individual investor and private equity companies is if you were to move out and you put a tenant in there, yeah, the tenant's rent is going to cover your mortgage. But if they move out, you still owe for that mortgage.
Who still owes for the mortgage? The renter still owes
The
for the
renters,
mortgage?
no, the owner owes for the mortgage. If you were an investor, right? If you went get this mortgage, this debt stays with you. Where it's different for private equity companies is the person, the business that they acquired is responsible for the debt. So in the example of
So
a
basically,
mortgage,
in the example
it's
of
like
it being a home.
the renter would then take on the mortgage.
That's crazy.
Insane,
But they don't get to
right?
participate in any of the actual advantages of owning the home or owning the business.
So not really because of the shit that the private equity companies do. So as we mentioned, right, one of the things with private equity is that their goal is to make as much profit in a short period of time. And one of the most nasty, diabolical strategies that they do to do this is whenever they are, okay, so more back in the leverage buyouts, right? With LBO, they look at the assets of the business and they use that as a part of the thing to secure the financing. So once they've secured the financing, what they then do after they buy the business and strap it with this debt is they start selling all their assets.
Okay,
And then
so pause one more time. Pause one more time. So once again, look, we're just gonna use the HVAC company. I'm the HVAC company that's being acquired. I have three trucks. I got compressors. I got an actual building that I own. I've got a whole bunch of other equipment and everything. That's the assets that they're leveraging, right?
yeah, so they leverage those assets to secure financing. And then after securing the financing, they start selling the assets to investors, then leasing it back to the company. So the building that you owned as a company, if you owned it free and clear, you didn't have no payments on it, all you was paying was taxes on this, they then sell it to an investor for a short-term profit and lease it back to the company. So what it does is they earn a commission on the sale. And
Wait, they acting as a broker too?
yes, they earn a
Man,
commission on the
hell
sale.
nah.
They earn a commission on the sale. Then they also they report a profit in the short term because they sold the asset. They get tax deductions, they sell it. So on paper, it looks great. It looks amazing. The general partner's making money, everybody, the limited partner's making money, but the business is getting drained. Is getting drained. And I want to go back to this example real quick of one that I seen on a video. I wish I remembered the title of it so I could shout them out, but I just want to go into this quick. So this is a grocery store me and you never heard of, right? Marsh Grocers. It was a grocery store in like Indiana and Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a small family chain that grew to be like 30 plus locations across both states. They get acquired by a private equity firm. The private equity firm's name is Sun Capital Partners. Sun Capital Partners does exactly what I just shared. The company was kind of on the outs, like Kroger and a lot of the big box retailers were starting to kind of push them out. So they were tampering and playing with the idea of selling. But they owned a projected $300 million in real estate.
Damn.
So their real estate assets were significant. So what SunTrust did was they came in, put in $100 million of their own money, borrowed like the remaining, I think it was like $250 million. They bought it for like $350, and then strapped that debt, mind you, went to Marsh, right? Marsh was responsible for paying that debt, and then they started selling off all the assets. Giving them monthly payments. And what we said last week, monthly payments kill your wealth. Giving them monthly payments, selling all the assets to the point where the company went bankrupt, I want to say in 2013, after being in existence since the 60s.
Damn. So, okay. So, how is private equity, though, still making money if they're bankrupting these companies?
Because they're selling them for parts. They're squeezing all the profit out. They're cutting staff. They're trying to minimize expenses in every way. So they do every cost-cutting thing you could think of, from using cheaper equipment to trying to hire cheaper staff. They're doing everything to cut corners and make things operationally efficient in the short term, so that on paper, and they be cooking the books a little bit, you know what I'm saying? That on paper, it looks like a viable business, but then they try to sell it off to an investor, and then, things fail, like, and file bankruptcy, like Toys R Us or Red Lobster.
Crazy. You want me to tell you, Jersey Mike's actually was recently acquired by private equity.
Damn.
I know, dog.
Why they gonna stop slicing the meat in the store? They're gonna start buying.
Hopefully,
They're gonna start
they
buying
don't mess
meat
up the big kahuna, dog. Hopefully,
they're gonna start buying meat that's cut. Hey, we gotta stop talking about Jersey Mike's though. They ain't got too much free promo. Hey, Jersey, y'all want some more promo? Y'all come at us, man. We talked about y'all 2 weeks in a row.
We did.
Shout out to Big Dave's. Yeah, we talked about them last week. Shout out to Big Dave's in Atlanta. Derek. God damn.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Big Dave's, dog.
Shit, man. Y'all check out our episode with Derek.
His name is Derek Hayes, brother.
There we go, man. I was trying to get there. You wasn't helping me.
My fault.
Yeah, check out our episode with Derek Hayes.
Yes,
we did that one a couple years back. But yeah, they got a fire cheesesteak, black-owned cheesesteak out there, and ATL, and I think he's expanded to North Carolina.
He's franchising and expanding.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So yeah, that's crazy what they're doing, though, man. Once again, I feel like this is going to be the death of America, or at least will cause the next big recession.
Oh, for sure. And I think the reason why that's going to happen is because something you said earlier, the lack of transparency.
So, I do have a question with that, right? Because we talked about BlackRock being one of the largest companies. BlackRock is publicly traded. They're just reporting the money that they're earning from the businesses, but they don't have to report it on a business by business case, right?
Well, I don't think BlackRock itself is publicly traded. They have publicly traded funds.
Got you.
So BlackRock has funds that are publicly traded, but they also have private equity funds.
Got you.
Yeah, yeah. So and kind of just to give another example where how problematic that lack of transparency can be, because public companies, like we mentioned with the Exxon thing earlier, right? They're required to report their profits on a quarterly basis. They're required to keep investors abreast. But with private equity companies, there's not that same level of scrutiny. The SEC and digging all in their business. So a good example of like how this could be problematic is Elon, your boy, man, Elon Musk, right? So we
Hey,
all
my
know
boy,
Elon.
man.
Yeah, we all know Elon bought Twitter. We all know Elon bought Twitter. And since Elon bought Twitter, it's kind of become a shit show, if we're just being honest. Like it's lost users, it's lost advertisers, and the value of the company has been questionably going down. He bought it for 44 billion. I want to say what that was 2021, 2022,
Somewhere around there.
somewhere around that time, right? So he bought it for that much. And recently he just sold Twitter or X to his own company, XAI, and he sold it at a $45 billion valuation. So you
Which
actually
actually isn't 45 billion because 12 billion of that is actual debt.
but you sold it at a $45 billion valuation to your own company. So it that lack of transparency, because you don't have to report this. You don't have investors with the SEC that you're reporting this to. This isn't a publicly traded company. So you can get away with a lot more. You really sold it to yourself and just threw an arbitrary price on there that you probably didn't really pay. It's a
You know
big house
where
of cards is what I'm
you know
getting
what it
at. It's
reminds
a
me
house of
of?
cards.
It reminds me of whenever people invest in art and they get like a no-name artist to do it, and then they get it appraised, and it appraises for a lot of money. Like, have you seen the fucking art with the banana?
Bro, my boy Kerry put me on this whenever we were fresh out of college. He bust my head with this one. He was like, basically, look to what you're saying, these artist dudes make friends with well-known and respected appraisers. The appraisers throw arbitrary prices on things, and now it's worth money. It could be like you just said, a banana,
No,
a blank white painting.
There was a banana, like it's a white painting and it's a banana. And you got to change out the banana because it's a actual banana, bro. It rots. I forgot how much it sold for. It's crazy.
It's a house of cards, man. It's a house of cards. It just to further illustrate the dangers of private equity. I just want to throw this one more stat out there, right? Uh, that short
So
term focus that these
I just pulled up the banana thing. I just got to
okay.
give context for this. It's conceptual art, which basically is a banana duct taped to a white wall and is sold for $6.2 million at Sotheby's.
Because somebody who said it was worth $6.2 million said it was worth that. Ridiculous.
Yes.
Absurdity. So again, just back to the dangers of it and how this is going to kill things, right? So this isn't just theory, right? That we're saying that private equity is a problem. So it was found that companies that are purchased with a leveraged buyout, those LBOs we were just talking about, they're twice as likely to fail over the next 10 years than companies who are not involved in that type of really risky debt purchase. So again, this is a bigger problem, and what it's gonna continue to do is further that concentration of wealth, right? If you keep pushing all these public entities that retail investors had the ability to invest in and grow their wealth, pushing them to the private market continues to consolidate wealth with people who are already wealthy, and that in the long term, it's not gonna play into the favor of us as the middle class or below, as we've said, on the prior episode, you know, the way things are trending, they're trying to eliminate the middle class altogether. So you just be mindful. Just be mindful.
It's gonna be
The
the
private
have and
equity
have-nots,
problem.
dog.
The private equity thing is a problem. It's a major problem. One thing I do find interesting now is that uh, people are trying to sell retail investors more on the idea of private equity. Recently, J.P. Morgan and BlackRock they announced that they're creating ETFs that tap into private equity markets, particularly private credit. So this is financing these types of deals, right? And there are big questions around the liquidity of these types of things because typically private equity investments are real illiquid. When you put your money up, you don't really get your cash till they
The
sell years
sell.
later. So with ETFs and anything that's on a public market, you should be able to sell at pretty much any point. That's the liquidity part of it, right? That's the benefit of most public markets is if I want to sell all my Tesla stock today, I can, or I want to sell all my Nvidia, I can. It's liquid. And with JP Morgan announcing that there's actually already one of these types of funds in the market. It actually was released just over a month ago. So State Street, another major player in the private equity world, if you ever want to look into the companies that own everything, maybe that's a whole nother segment. State Street, BlackRock, Blackstone, they own just about everything. Not Blackstone, Vanguard, my apologies. State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, they own just about everything. But State Street and another firm, Apollo Capital Management, interesting thing. They probably won't ever talk about this, but the founder of Apollo Capital, he got ousted because he was on that Epstein list. They found he had paid Epstein like 150 M's over the years.
Really?
Yeah, freak ass boy.
I was just
Freaky
about to
ass
say
niggas need to
it.
stay their ass inside. Yeah. Yeah. But that same company also launched one of these types of ETFs where you can invest in private equity. For all the people that are interested, the ticker symbol for that is PRIV. When I last looked, it was trading around $25. It looks like it hasn't had much movement on the price, but there are a lot of questions about the liquidity still with that one, and it is still a work in progress. So again, always do your own due diligence. Don't just hop into some shit. And last thing I want to add on this whole private equity topic, Marcus Colston. We actually reported about this on the page. Marcus Colston, former Saints great wide receiver. Shout out to Marcus Colston. He actually is trying to start a fund that's similar to this. So he is trying to start a fund that invests in private equity through sports assets. So buying sports teams, buying part like facilities related to sports, and making that available for retail investors. So that's a big goal there. So I'm not saying that, it's always 100% this can't work in every arena, but there's a big problem with private equity in this country. And it is killing the soul of many of the small businesses that have fueled the success and the idea of the American dream.
It's killing capitalism.
It's killing capitalism. You're not lying. It's killing capitalism. It's creating monopolies in the worst type of way, where we think we have choices, but we really don't have a choice. It's really the illusion of choice and the killing of the entrepreneurial spirit that we hold in such high regard in this country, man.
That's crazy. All right, so let's get into our next topic. This actual next topic, brother, it's a little sad, a little melancholy. R.I.P. to George Foreman, dog.
We lost another black legend.
Yeah, we lost another black legend. George Foreman, the legendary two-time heavyweight boxing champion and a successful entrepreneur, passed away March 21st, 2025 at the age of 76.
Hey, post something out for the OG. Post something out for the legend.
Nah, man, don't pull nothing up. Throw something on the grill for George, man.
You right.
Throw something on the grill. Matter of fact,
I got the Foreman grill in the.
I got me
kitchen.
one too. I'm gonna heat mine up. I'm gonna throw some chicken on that thing, dog.
I'm gonna make some burgers. We gonna knock out the fat. You feel me?
Yeah. But Yes, George Foreman has passed. So, just wanted to give him his condolences, give him his flowers, because George actually did a lot of great things throughout his life. He actually, started his journey with winning a gold medal at the 1986 Olympics, which led
68.
to his
68. 1968.
What I said.
86.
I'm sorry. We're going to edit this. He actually started his journey by winning a gold medal at the 1968 Olympics, which led to his first heavyweight title in 1973 after defeating legendary Joe Frazier. Then after that, he lost notably to Muhammad Ali.
I'll show you how great I am.
Chill out. He notably lost to Muhammad Ali in 1974 in the Rumble in the Jungle. All I think about whenever I hear that, Ali Boombaye, Ali Boombaye. I remember that.
Bro,
Ali
I
movie.
think I actually got a shirt with George Foreman on the ground. Hey man, I gotta stop wearing that one just in honor of you, Big G.
That's crazy. But yeah, Foreman also made a historic comeback 20 years later. 1994, reclaimed the heavyweight title at the age of at the age of 45. I was about to say at the age of 94, bro.
Yeah, you tweaking. You tweaking.
At the age of 45, he became the oldest person to hold the heavyweight title. If you think about that in retrospect, I think we were watching, who is that? Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. How old were they whenever they fought? Were they like 48?
I ain't gonna lie.
I think
to
they
you.
were
I don't
late
follow that
40s,
close.
bro. But just to put that in perspective, we watched two old guys beat up on each other. I'm pretty sure he fought someone who was not as old and won and became the heavyweight champ again. And then after that, he launched George Foreman Grills that same year, and then ended up selling over 100 million units, earning Foreman an estimated $200 million.
Sheesh.
Man.
Knocking out the fat. Like I said, I got one, you got one. I believe it.
I believe it too. I ain't gonna lie. They've been using the George Foreman my whole life. I remember my grandmother having that George Foreman.
Hey man, that Foreman fed the family many times. You feel me?
I'm telling you. But yeah, one last thing with him passing. George Foreman's estate will be split amongst his 11 of 12 kids. The biggest thing is all of his sons are named George. So that could be causing some issues in the probate court if he did not have his estate planning tight and taken care of properly.
Jesus Christ. I ain't gonna lie. I love black people. Shout out to George Foreman, the legend. But my brother, why you name all your sons George? Black people, come talk to me. Look at me.
I got an uncle like that, dog. He got
Why?
3 sons named Kevin.
Why do some black men feel the need to name all their sons the same name? So I grew up in Opelousas. I don't know if you know Jimmy Linden, Jalen.
No.
Man, it's a nigga named Jimmy Linden, bro, out there in Lawtell. This nigga got like 8 sons. All them niggas named Jimmy.
Bro.
Here's the kicker. He got a daughter.
Not her name.
Her
Jimmy.
middle name Jimmy. What's wrong with you niggas?
What's wrong with the moms?
Stop it.
No, what's wrong with the mama?
No.
For allowing this to happen.
Taking and putting this blame on the man, the black man. You gotta chill, brother. We get it. You ain't shooting no blanks. You're getting boys. You ain't gotta name them all after yourself, man. I'm a junior. I wouldn't name my son Junior, let alone the 5th one of my sons the same name. It's insanity. But
That's
I
crazy.
digress. R.I.P. to a legend, George Foreman. Great man, great legacy. I hope everything goes well with the estate planning side of things. If y'all, everybody ain't wealthy, but estate planning is a very, very important thing. Highly suggest if you or your family need to learn about your estate planning, y'all go back in the BWR archives, go look through the catalog, look for our episode with Lily and Chenkor. Um, excuse me, Jesus. Yeah, go back and look for that episode. She goes into all of the estate planning needs,
And she makes
all
it
the estate
sound
planning
really.
information you
She
need.
breaks it down to where it's really, really simple to understand estate planning too. That was one of my favorite episodes, honestly.
Definitely, one of my favorite episodes to record. I learned so much that episode.
Yes,
Shout out to
sir.
Lily. All right,
So next topic. We're gonna hit this one. When most people think of life insurance, they think of death benefits. But did you know life insurance can also help you build wealth while you're still alive? With cash value policies like whole life or universal life insurance, you're not just leaving a legacy, you're building one. These policies grow over time with tax-deferred cash that you can access for things like retirement, emergencies, or even investments. Plus, living benefits can protect you during life's most unexpected moments, like critical illness or disability, giving you the financial flexibility you need when you need it most. It's not just insurance. It's a tool in your financial tool belt. Visit the link below to learn more and start building wealth today. Man,
I got it. I intro it.
big,
So
big
real-
teasy, man.
Real quick, man. Y'all boy, the big teasy, the orange man, he at it
Lil
again.
Cheeto.
I know we said we wasn't gonna be on him, but man, he wilding right now, dog. He wilding. So the Trump administration is taking aim at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. So in March of 2025,
Trump trying to erase black history, dog.
essentially, not a black history, American history.
American history, but he trying to erase black history at the same time.
Yeah, we'll get into it, right? So, March 2025, Trump issued an executive order. I know y'all tired of hearing that. This one is titled "The Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History," which directly targets the Smithsonian Institution, which is the largest museum, I think, in the world.
I know for sure in America.
In America, for sure, maybe in the world, right? And
I feel
particularly,
like Britain and France got some big ass museums too. They got a lot of historic shit.
Britain probably got the biggest one. Them damn crooks, them plunderers, marauders. I digress.
That's beyond the point.
Yeah. So, but that it's targeting the Smithsonian, but particularly it's focused on the National Museum of African American History and Culture. The order is accusing the Smithsonian of promoting divisive, race-centered ideology that misrepresents American history. Under this order, it's giving Vice President J.D. Vance, a dude that's changed his name like 3-4 times, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah. The same dude who was just in a group chat with a journalist sending
talking
fist
about
bump
war
emojis.
plants and everything.
Yeah, this guy, right? He's authorized this guy to review the Smithsonian program and mandate the removal of exhibits deemed to degrade shared American values or divide Americans based on race. So
That's crazy.
this is an effort to rewrite history. Point blank.
Blatantly in our face, dog. And honestly, it's disgusting.
Facts.
It's utterly disgusting to me that out of all the problems that we have in America, this is the I'm about to cuss again. This is the fucking problem you would like to address. This is a thing that you would like to pass an executive order on. Like we ain't got more larger issues.
The private equity problem we just talked about.
He tap dancing all into that shit. He profiting from that.
We got infrastructure that's crumbling, and you worried about accurate accounting of American history. So, getting more into what this order alleges, right? So it's stating that institutions like the Smithsonian and other federally funded museums are emphasizing aspects of white culture that promote divisive content and they're targeting upcoming exhibits at the African American Women's History Museum. Back to your boy. Well, not your boy, man. Buddy of many names, the VP, right? So he's actually a member of the Smithsonian Board of Regents. Yeah, so he's going to be the one to oversee the implementation of these directives. Part of that is going to be ensuring that funding for future exhibits align with the administration's interpretation of American values and history. This also is they have the Interior Secretary Doug Burgum. Never heard of him before. Probably some old white guy, I'm sure. And he's going to be assessing the idea of potentially restoring some of the federal monuments and memorials that have been removed since 2020. So that kind
A
of
lot of
that
these
moment
Confederate ass memorials and
statues.
everything.
Yeah. And I actually seen something today on IG. They were posting like the thing in Utah. They had a mural in Utah with all the people who were slain by police killings. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. They had murals of them on like this abandoned building. They were tearing it down. They're removing the BLM Plaza. They're doing a lot of these things right there in our face. And if I'm just being frank and honest, the symbolism side of it doesn't hurt me.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
The symbolism side of it doesn't hurt me because I don't think any of that stuff changed anything realistically. But the idea of erasing and revising that history,
Yeah.
that is dangerous. That's very dangerous. The idea of what they call critical race theory is nonsensical. This is American history. If you try to change history, and they always say history is his story, but if you try to change American history, we lose a very important part of what makes us us and why America is the way it is. I think it's very dangerous to appease the egos of a few people because I don't think majority of people have an issue with this. I genuinely don't believe the majority of Americans have an issue with the genuine accounting of American history. But I could be wrong. I'm a black man from the South, so.
Hey, man, it happened. Y'all got to acknowledge it and just be better. Y'all got to get over it. You can't.
They don't want to feel guilty, bro.
You'll tell us get over the shit. You tell us, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and all of these other things. Get over it. Your ancestors did this horrific shit. It happened. But you got to be better than them. And how can you be better than them if you don't know what the hell they did before?
And all I got to add to this is white folks been the problem since the beginning. Who was the ones going all over the world plundering and raiding mugs? The Vikings, Caucasians. Accept that y'all the violent ones. Accept that y'all the aggressors. And understand that there's consequences to that. There are benefits and there are consequences to that. Yeah. And the more we're able to acknowledge this, the better we'll all be at the end of the day.
The last part that I kind of want to add that's scary about what Trump is doing, he's floating the idea of trying to run a third term. That's the scariest part to me, because then I feel like we're approaching dictatorship.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't like how friendly he already is with Putin, because Putin did the same thing where he ended up running more terms than he was supposed to and basically became the everlasting president.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to that, I don't think that boy got that much time left.
Yeah, that he is old.
I don't think he got that much time left.
He is an old
Fred
fuck. I will give that. But that be the motherfuckers that live to 106 years damn old.
We gonna just hope that shit don't happen. But no, realistically, we do need to make efforts. We got to get Tim on here soon, man. We got to have a real conversation with him about what black people can do politically to organize. But yeah, man. Moving on, last topic of the show. This one, we always say, we like to close on a little lighter note. celebrate some wins in the community. So, Coach Prime, man, shout out to Coach Prime.
Yes, sir.
Coach Prime continues to do prime time things. So on March 28th, Colorado University announced that Coach Prime has a new deal and he's going to be staying in Boulder. It's a 5-year, $54 million deal, making him one of the highest paid coaches in the country. Big ups to Coach Prime. Let's
Shout
give a
out
little...
to Coach Prime. I do want to say now all the haters can stop the little think pieces talking about he's going to the NFL. He's going to
He's going to leave just like he did in Jackson.
He's going to go with his sons and everything. So shout out to Prime for his new deal. Shout out to the Buffs, man. And I remember whenever this first happened, whenever he left Jackson State, a lot of people were very upset. I'm going to say this again, man. I just don't see them being able to do what he was able to do in Colorado. But yeah, I just don't see him being able to accomplish the things that he was able to accomplish with Colorado out there in Jackson. Nothing to HBCUs or anything like that. I didn't go to one, but I fuck with the HBCUs. It's just the fact of the funding, the ability to actually get a lot of these different recruits and everything. What Prime did at Jackson State, he was able to build an amazing program in a very short amount of time. He was able to get Travis Hunter to go to Jackson State, who was a top recruit. He was able to win games, win championships at Jackson State. But once again, it just what he's been able to accomplish since joining the Buffs and the notoriety, the eyeballs that he's been able to do with that program. I think it just speaks volumes to wherever he goes. The man seems like he's anointed, man. He's touched by God. Everything that he's literally done in his life, bro, has been able to excel and become the creme de la creme.
Yeah, that's why he is prime time. And I'm sorry, y'all. My camera died. I need to get another battery for that John. But you already know, man. Prime, he revolutionized the game at every level. Even as a coach, he's revolutionized things, man. This is really phenomenal. Like the whole structure of the deal. Just want to kind of get into that. So he'll make an average of $10.8 million per year, making him the highest paid coach in the Big 12 and among the top 10 in the country. So the contract kicks in before the start of the upcoming season. He's going to make $10 million in 2025, $10 million in 2026, $11 million in 2027, $11 million in 2028, and then $12 in 2029. And that is according to USA Today. For all the people that are worried about Prime potentially leaving, he does have a buyout in there. So first year, I think it's $12 million, and then it gradually decreases. So if he did choose to leave, I think in the last year in 2029, he would still have to pay $3 million to him. But he didn't made his money by then, man. I think this is a good thing for Colorado and college football. Prime has revolutionized this quite literally. Like he's made the whole college football landscape change, and I'm excited to see if he can keep things going in Colorado without that initial class, without his sons, and without Travis Hunter. Seeing if CU can still continue to be a force, because I think this last year they were like 9-4.
Yeah, bro.
You know,
They
that first year they were like 3
You go.
and yeah, the first year they were like 3 and or 4-10 or something like that.
Yeah, I think
So
they've
they've gotten a lot better. They've gotten a lot better. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Prime's continued success.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely happy for it. Once again, get your money, get paid, black man. I love it. And then what I love about him getting paid is the thing that he does for those students. He really pours into those students. He isn't just making the money just to be like, yo, you know, I got it or whatever. He had money coming from the NFL. He had money coming from Major League Baseball and all the other things that he's done with his endorsements. He really pours into those athletes, and he really wants to see those younger athletes win. So shout out to Prime for that, man.
Indeed, indeed. Well, man, again, I think this is a win-win-win. Um, but that's our show for today, guys. So, as always, we want to thank you for tuning in to another great installment of the Blackwell Renaissance Podcast. As always, if you learned something, if you gained some value from this, man, just do us one favor. We don't ask for a lot. We don't want much from you. We just ask that you leave a little review, man. Just write us some words. Write us some words of encouragement. Write us some words of what y'all want to see from us. It really does make a world of difference to us. I just want y'all to know that. It makes a world of difference to us whenever we get to hear how y'all feel and the way the show is making impact in y'all lives.
Facts. And we ain't going to do y'all like Marvin Sapp, man. We ain't going to lock y'all in the church to make y'all leave us a review. The review costs y'all nothing. Just help us spread this knowledge. Help us spread the podcast more.
Definitely. I'm locking them doors like Marvin Sapp on y'all at next time, though.
This guy here.
It ain't free to sit up in here. Pay me with that review.
Oh, that's hilarious. We'll probably get into that on the next episode, man. We ain't gonna have time to cover it tonight, but we'll
that's insanity. We gotta go into the church altogether, the whole black church. It's not just Marvin Sapp, the whole black church. But we'll get into that black church and how it negatively affects black wealth.
Ooh, you about to get us canceled?
No, we ain't. We ain't getting canceled. I still love God. Matter of fact, Brother Clap, man, take us out with that prayer, man.
Once again, Heavenly Father, I just come to you asking you to let me be a vessel. Thank you for allowing us to share this knowledge that you put into us through this show. Thank you for allowing us to impact people's lives. We ask that this show and the message that you give us provide people with. We ask that the knowledge that you give us allows people to grow financially, grow spiritually, grow mentally, grow physically, and get healthier, Heavenly Father. We ask that you allow them to just really bloom, blossom, become the best that they can be, and ultimately give back onto others and allow them to keep on spreading your word and just to keep on growing financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. Like I always say, from his lips to God's ear, man, we glad that you could join us for this experience. We glad that y'all here. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
And until next time, this is Blackwell Renaissance signing out.
Peace.
Peace.